So today I want to spend a little more time talking about the process and the development of awakening, Zen awakening in the Zen tradition. So the first level of awakening experience is generally called Kensho in Japanese Zen. Kensho means something like seeing into one's true nature. One of the ways Kensho is talked about by Zen Master Dogen, who was an incredibly influential figure particularly in Soto Zen, in bringing that from China to Japan and really letting that land. I believe the Soto is the largest sect in Japan. And it's more active here in the West as well than the Rinzai is. But Zen Master Dogen talked about Kensho as falling away of body and mind. Falling away of body and mind. So in the Kensho experience, as I've mentioned, I have the three components for awakening. The first is a deep experience of absence of self. The second is the recognition, the thoroughgoing recognition that the experience is, this is my true identity, and not my as a personal possession, but the awareness in this location. And then third, a deep experience of the oneness, the non-dual unity of the love aspect of the Absolute. So everything is made of love, everything is the same fabric of oneness of love, something like that. Now, Kensho can last various durations. I've had students who have had a flash, literally just snap your fingers and it's over. It's happened and it's over. Up to people having an awakening experience where the sense of self is dormant for months after the Kensho experience. And that's how we would, as Zen teachers, evaluate the depth of the Kensho. Would be how long it lasts, how long before the personality begins to assert itself again in a significant way, and also how much things are changed, how much the individual has changed from their prior behavior and perspective, outlook on the world. So unless a Kensho is one that lasts for at least a number of weeks, if not months, it probably isn't going to generate too much lasting change. The personality would come back online, and while there would be the confidence to know that I'm not just the personality material or my psychological material, I'm something more than that, there would still be a lot of recognition with the personality. Enough recognition that the experience of Kensho would seem like an aberration or a special experience, but not a place I can land, not a place that I can have a foundation. And so the process after Kensho is one of looking at one's behavior, looking at one's orientation, of perspective, birth, family history, those kinds of things, which really begin to establish and lock in our worldview, both of ourselves and others. One of the ways we keep that perspective in place is through the use of our preferences, our likes and dislikes in particular. Most people have an inner narration going on during their waking hours where they're evaluating everything they come in contact with, everyone they come in contact with. I like that car, I don't like that tree. I like this color, I don't like that color. So on and on throughout the day. And the reason people do this is it reinforces the self-identity. I'm this person that lives here, has these relationships, has this work experience, and here's my thousands of likes and dislikes. So I know how distinct I am, and also some of my likes and dislikes will also reveal where I'm bonded in groups. One of the easy ways to see that is people's allegiance to sporting teams, that they can have a relationship to the sporting team much like they're part of the same tribe, the same people. Some members of my family are very avid sports fans, and when their team wins, they are elated in a way that you would think that they actually participated in the victory. And likewise, when the team loses, they are so crestfallen, so deeply upset and sad about it, you would think that they had some personal stake in the team winning or losing, not like they were a member of the team. But it's that kind of investment we can make in groups, the groups who take a position around politics, around religion, and say, this is the best view, this is the only view, and it gets reinforced through the likes and dislikes. So this is how we establish all the ways that we fit in our society, all the ways that we relate. And all of this begins to come into question after a significant enough Kensho, that we're looking and seeing the places that make up me. And what happens is that people will hit thematic places. They'll have places around identity, relationship towards others, a variety of things like that you would expect, really. But the way that they come up is very individualistic. We're all very, very unique in what influenced us, where all of us could, at the age of 2, have the same experience, and based on our family of origin, our culture, our own makeup, whether it left a deep or a shallow imprint on us would depend. So some of us could have an experience where there's no lasting effect, no impact, and others could be very deeply impacted. It could become a part of a foundation of the self-identity. So that's why we can't say there's a one way to approach post-Kensho. I'm working with folks post-Kensho, helping them understand how to unwind the psychology, the sense of me, the self-identity, to where the realization, the absolute, can more and more become the foundation, the grounding. So what happens after Kensho is usually there will be repeated experiences. I have a theory or a way of practice I talk about in Demystifying Awakening called the stair-step method. And the way it works is someone either does some amount of personal work where they clarify, where part of the self-identity becomes transparent. It can be seen through, and they can see, or they can make contact with the universal, the unconditioned, the absolute, rather than seeing the conditioned self-identity. And there will be, say they have that little realization, there would then be a period of time where there was the comparable reorganization of self-identity, the liberation, the freedom of whatever no longer is hooked to the self-identity. And then over time, the person would then become open to either deeper psychological work and or Kensho, realization, awakening. And it just continues stair-stepping this way. The second level of awakening after Kensho is, I use the term Satori, which is a common Zen term. Some teachers use Satori to mean any awakening. I use Kensho to mean first awakenings, less in-depth awakenings. And Satori I use to refer to an in-depth, deep awakening. And one of the hallmarks of the Satori experience, this Satori awakening, is that it's a much more deep awakening. It's a deeper experience of the absolute. The sense of self or self-identity is further suspended, so it's blown out even further. And in this case, after the Satori experience, when the sense of self begins to reconstruct, what I call true nature, which is the qualities of the Absolute embedded in our consciousness, those attributes become the foundation for that individual. So the personality, the egoic structuring is still present, but it's not the anchor, it's not the foundation for the building. The Absolute in your consciousness, the true nature, is the foundation. And the way I explain this is it seems to work that when one has Kenshō, a certain percentage of consciousness will be awakened. And it seems to be that until 51% or more of consciousness is awakened, true nature doesn't take that seat as the foundation. So it has to be more than half of consciousness has to be awake. And that can be anywhere from 51 to theoretically 100%. And that can happen in a first awakening. There are a few people, it's fairly rare, but one can have a deep enough first Kenshō that it can be a Satori experience. True nature takes its seat as the realization settles and the self-identity begins to restructure or to be reactivated. So this is a fairly significant awakening, and the individual is functioning more from true nature, more from qualities of the Absolute, but still getting snagged by personality and self-identity issues. So the ongoing work of liberating our personal inclinations and our personality structuring continues after the Satori experience also.